Hoosac Tunnel in North Adams in Florida, Massachusetts. The Hoosac Tunnel is nicknamed the Bloody Pit. Over 200 people have died in the tunnel, and it was one of the most deadly construction projects in Massachusetts history. Note, the tunnel is private and active railroad property, and trespassing in the area is not permitted. To check out the Hoosac Tunnel, hop aboard a train in North Adams, Massachusetts train station. The story of one incident in particular will make you shiver. After an explosion in the tunnel, 13 men were presumed dead, abandoned at the bottom of a deep shaft. A makeshift raft was later discovered, along with evidence that the men had survived for days after the search was called off. The USS Salem in Quincy, Massachusetts is regarded as one of the most haunted vessels in the world. In 1953, the ship served as a makeshift floating hospital during a massive earthquake in Greece. Hundreds died on board, and some rooms in the ship were stuffed to the ceilings with the corpses of the deceased. Reports of hauntings and paranormal activity have abounded ever since. Today, you can tour the ship and learn about its haunted history, as well as test your bravery at the Ghost Ship Harbor haunted attraction, which runs through the end of October. Its address is 549 South Street, Quincy, Massachusetts, 02169. This is definitely the creepiest ghost town in Massachusetts. Founded in 1693, Dogtown was once a home to about 100 families. After pirate attacks and tensions with the local native peoples drove the settlers further inland, the town became a haven for vagrants, criminals, and some say witches. The address is Dogtown Commons, Gloucester, Massachusetts, 01930. Dogtown gets its name from the packs of feral canines that roamed its streets after the town was abandoned. One resident of Dogtown was particularly notorious. Themazine Tammy Younger was known as Queen of the Witches, and it was said that she cursed teams of oxen and local farmers who refused to pay her tribute. Today, Dogtown is covered with inscribed boulders bearing strange motivational messages. The stones were commissioned in the 1920s by the late Roger Babson, the founder of Babson College. To add an additional layer of spookiness to a ghost town that many believe to be haunted by its former residents. The Belchertown State School is one of the creepiest abandoned places in Massachusetts. The school was built in 1922 to serve the mentally defective. Maximum capacity was meant to be 400 occupants, but by the 1970s, over 1,500 patients were crammed into the school. Conditions were deplorable. Local Judge Joseph L. Torra described the school as a warehouse for humans, saying that he saw a little girl drinking from a feces-filled commode during one of his visits. The buildings were infested with rats and insects that would bite patients, especially those who were tied down to their beds. The school closed in 1971, and reports of hauntings have abounded ever since. You can check out the decaying buildings and overgrown grounds from the outside, but access to the inside of the buildings is not permitted. The address is 6 Berkshire Avenue, Belchertown, Massachusetts, 01007. Spider Gates Cemetery. Of all the Massachusetts hauntings, this one is probably the most terrifying. This place is officially known as Quaker Cemetery, but unofficially known as Spider Gates Cemetery, or the 8th Gate to Hell. Founded in 1740, local tales assert that the cemetery is the gateway to another dimension. Reports of hauntings abound, and satanic rituals are said to be performed on a stone area of the cemetery known as the altar. The address, 15 Earl Street, Leicester, Mass. 01524. Danvers State Hospital. This mental hospital opened in 1878 and was the birthplace of the infamous prefrontal lobotomy. This medical procedure involved thrusting a long rod resembling an ice pick through the corner of a patient's eye and wiggling it around in order to sever important neural connections. Its address is 1101 Kirkbride Drive, Danvers, Massachusetts, 01923. Conditions at the hospital were so terrible, and there were reports that some patients were left chained to their beds for days or allowed to wander the halls covered in their own filth. The hospital closed in 1992, and many of the buildings were converted into apartments. However, mysterious fires began to break out in the apartments in 2007. Forest just may be the most haunted in America. Part of the infamous Bridgewater Triangle, a triad of places in Massachusetts that exhibit unusual levels of odd happenings and paranormal activity. This spooky forest has played host to multiple documented murders, suicides, and assaults. It's also rumored to be the favorite haunt of Pukwudgies, humanoid creatures from the Wampanoag native tradition. President Ronald Reagan himself reported seeing strange lights in the sky within the forest. In May of 2016, an escaped emu was reported to be wandering around the forest and attacking visitors. The address is 110 Slab Bridge Road, Assonet, Massachusetts, 02702. The Lizzie Borden House, Fall River, Massachusetts. The Lizzie Borden House is one of the most infamous murder scenes in America. In 1892, Lizzie Borden of Fall River was accused of the violent murders of her father and mother. They had been viciously slain with an axe, and though Borden was ultimately acquitted of their murders, most locals believed she had committed the crimes. Many guests have claimed to feel ill upon walking into the home, saying that they experience an oppressive feeling and a sense that they are being watched. If you're feeling courageous, you can rent a room in the Borden home for the night. Address 230 2nd Street, Fall River, Massachusetts, 02721. It is also a bed and breakfast. S.K. Pierce Mansion. This mansion is so haunted, visitors are required to sign a waiver before entering the home. It has a history of death and tragedy that spans over 130 years. Built in the late 1880s by Sylvester Pierce, a wealthy local businessman. The mansion is reportedly haunted by numerous members of the Pierce family, many whom died in the home from illness or accident. The ghosts here are known to get physical, with some guests reporting being pushed downstairs or compelled towards open windows against their will. The address is 4 West Broadway, Gardner, Massachusetts, 01440. Fort Revere in Hull, Massachusetts. This military fort was in use from the Revolutionary War all the way to World War II. It was decommissioned in 1947. Many have reported strange noises and shadowy figures lingering in the doorways.